I told you, this thing is bigger than Nino Brown, and I got a list of proof.
Order.
If I'm going down,
Order in
I'm
the
taking a
court.
whole lot
I
of
said
people with
order
me.
in the court.
Nino Brown Boxing, and I'm back in the building. Shout out to the LDBC. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. So, man, I want to talk about Keith Thurman. I was on Premier Boxing Instagram page yesterday and just stumbled off their post about Keith Thurman. Keith Thurman has this short quote. Basically, he says, "My hunger is respart. I ain't going nowhere." And that's basically it. My whole thing with you, Keith Thurman, is you never had to go anywhere. Your relevancy in boxing is based off of all of your choices. It's not even the loss to Manny Pacquiao. It's not the fact that you don't have a belt anymore. It's the fact that you keep disappearing. And this is the same Keith Thurman that's out for the remainder of 2019. Now, the thing about Keith Thurman that I don't understand is, how can you say you're not going anywhere? How can you say, like, you're resparked? Because the main thing that's been keeping you out of ring, supposedly, are your injuries. So, Keith Thurman, it's very odd to me that you chose those particular words to describe, like, your state in boxing. But on the other end, I mean, Keith Thurman has said in the past that he's said in the past that, like, he's not as hungry. He was comparing himself to Errol Spence. He's not as hungry as Spence. And maybe that's what he's referring to, but I'm just trying to figure out, Keith, what's the respark? Like, what's changed? You beat Danny Garcia. You beat Sean Porter. You lost to Manny Pacquiao. Errol Spence is unified. You didn't want to unify with him in the earlier years when you had the opportunity. You didn't want to give him a title shot before he got his IBF belt. You told him that he needed to get a belt. Literally 2 belts and a serious car accident later, now you're resparked. Keith Thurman, I feel like at this point when it comes to the PBC, I mean, unless they're going to do a Keith Thurman-Sean Porter rematch, and maybe that's not a route Sean Porter wants to take since his spectacular performance against Errol Spence. I'm not sure. But coming off a loss, I don't see Keith Thurman getting in that type of fight anyway. But I feel like Keith Thurman is he's the perfect opponent to line up for Terrence Bud Crawford. Because at this point, what do you have to lose? Keith Thurman it's not like Keith Thurman is bringing the PBC money, because Keith Thurman isn't frequently in the ring. Yes, he fought 2 times this year, but Keith Thurman has been extremely inactive, fighting 0 times in 2018, 1 time in 2017, 1 time in 2016. Keith Thurman, it's not like he's bringing in the dollars. He's not bringing in the viewership for the PBC. With that being said, Keith Thurman should simply be fed to Terrence Bud Crawford. And I say that because Keith Thurman is also on record when he was unified, when he was a WBA, WBC, or after he got stripped of that WBC title. Keith Thurman on record was, when he referred to Bud as a 140-pounder. And I say, well, Keith, last time I checked, Manny Pacquiao came from the lowest of the lowest weight classes, and he was a 40-year-old man that put you on your ass. With that being said, since Bud is so, he's friends with Sean Porter, and they don't want to pay for Danny Garcia. Errol Spence is tied up, he's recovering. Why not fight Keith Thurman? But this will be the perfect opportunity for Terrence Bud Crawford to call out Keith Thurman, and for Keith Thurman to call out Terrence Bud Crawford. I feel like both of these guys, they need each other. Keith Thurman, he needs to bounce back. Keith Thurman needs to become relevant again. And I feel like it's one of those things where Keith Thurman really doesn't have anywhere to turn. Like, Keith Thurman impressive wins on his resume as Sean Porter and Danny Garcia. And I don't see a rematch with Manny Pacquiao. So I say at this point at this point in time, Keith, for me to know that you're serious, call out Bud. See if you can bring that WBO belt back over to the PBC. I understand that the PBC says they're not recognizing the WBO title. But if Keith Thurman can do it, I'm sure the PBC will make a concession. Recognize the WBO title at welterweight and make their moves to build up an undisputed welterweight champion. Even if it's just for one fight. And it will put Keith Thurman in a position where if he's as re-sparked as he's claimed to be, considering, well, obviously, if hypothetically, if he beats Bud, if he's as re-sparked as he claimed to be, then he would have no problem putting himself in a position for a unification bout. But we'll see how things happen. We'll see if Bud ever says Keith's name. I mean, Bud says Earl's name. You know, he doesn't want to fight Sean. So I say, what about Keith Thurman? Keith Thurman doesn't have a belt, but Keith Thurman is a name. You beat Keith Thurman, even though he's coming off of a Manny Pacquiao loss, Keith has beaten Danny. Keith has beaten Sean. And even though he lost to Manny Pacquiao, some people felt that that fight was extremely close. With that being said, I feel like Bud needs Keith, and Keith needs Bud. And this is the perfect opportunity to make that type of cross-promotional fight happen. Do I think it's going to happen? Do I think someone's going to step up? I'm not sure. I feel like a lot of those questions need to be put out there when we're at a top rank event or when we're at a PBC event. Those questions need to be asked to Keith Thurman. Those questions need to be asked to Terrence Bud Crawford. And we see what happens from there. Because at this point in time, you know, considering the state of boxing, considering the politics, the guy that generates numbers, he's always been somewhat of a popular fighter. He knows how to promote the hell out of a fight. He's very articulate on the mic. That's Keith Thurman. And a guy like Terrence Bud Crawford that's very introverted. He doesn't have much to say, but he does all of his talking in the ring. And then you have someone that's like Keith Thurman that's good opposition with a good welterweight resume, something that Bud can take away from Keith. But also Bud can take away from Keith the fact that Keith wasn't respecting Bud as a legitimate welterweight. This is the perfect opportunity. This is the perfect fight to matchmake, and this is the perfect cross-promotion opportunity. PBC doesn't lose anything for cashing in Keith Thurman because Keith Thurman is not active. He's not. So let's see if we can push for that fight to happen. It's Nino Brown Boxing. Shout out to the LDBC, and I'm out.